Our top story tonight, some going down in November.
Wars, spending.
There has got to be something big a-brewing.
They're using geese to guard prisons in Brazil. Does Biden know what Mexico is? Would you scare Joe Biden? What are we laughing at? I think Billy Mays was real.
I'm a world-class skeptic.
I don't know anything about Hunter Biden. I don't know who's big into cocaine and laptops. Why is that our problem? Complete, absolute incompetence. Like, who funds the news? It's a freaking inside job, man. That the entire world's a stage and everything's fake.
It's coming.
That should work now.
Okay. Can everybody hear? John, will you check and make sure that I'm not speaking to no one again? I would greatly appreciate that. I've been preaching to an audience of literally zero. It's not even preaching to an audience of one. I've been preaching to an audience of no one. And I've been, yes, sweet. Thank you, David. So guys, I'll just read it. Thank you for listening to this latest episode of the Veritas Road, a show dedicated to finding truth and a safe place to say the N-word. That is what we're all about here. We're trying to create that for ourselves and the people who are here listening to us. As I was saying earlier, John has been very mean and demanding tonight.
StreamYard's been a
he started slamming the desk earlier. He very angrily requested that I get him a beverage. And
I feel like that was
and yelled at me when I didn't get him the beverage he wanted.
You asshole.
I feel attacked. I feel small. I feel belittled. And so, in an effort to try to lift my spirits, I would appreciate it if you would like the show, subscribe to the show, maybe go check out the Patreon. We're still running our early bird special right now.
I didn't get any of this shit.
Well, pull it up right now. So we're still running our early bird special on Patreon. It is $2. If you go ahead and sign up, you'll be able to keep that $2 tier for, what do we say, a year after it goes live in March 3rd, I think is what we're aiming for the go live date. There's some stuff there now. Son of a bitch, John.
Give me a second.
Can you turn that off?
There.
All right. Guys, I hope you continue to listen through this.
StreamYard has absolutely been my friend tonight.
John, if you're going to talk into your mic.
Sorry.
So check out the Patreon. It is still it is still discounted. We still have our early bird special running. We'll be running through the 1st of March. Go follow us on Twitter, please. Our old Twitter account got nuked, and so we're trying to rebuild our Twitter account. That's the Twitter account. So go drop us a like or a follow or whatever the kids are doing these days. Son of a bitch.
I'm getting there.
We would greatly appreciate it. Also check us out on all the audio platforms. We're trying to push more folks over there too. Just I don't really know why actually, but we are. So we're on all the audio platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on the radio at your mom's house. So check us out there.
It's taking me.
There it is. That's not the act. Just move on, John.
Okay.
So am I missing anything? We're gonna go through this shit with Steven's here on Friday.
No,
is this gonna happen?
I will do better. StreamYard just for some reason randomly likes to change predefined settings and not give you any indication that it's done that. So it changed our microphone input to one of these cameras.
Okay.
And then it for some reason changed all of my other extra audio inputs, and it was
Well, we're here now.
Should be fixed. I apologize to everybody.
What's up, Neff Hunter, David, JC? Good to see you guys. All right. Is there anything else I'm missing as far as housekeeping stuff right now, John?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, there will be. We're premiering an episode tonight after the show's over.
Oh yeah.
At 9:30, that will premiere on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. That one will be the show we did on UFOs. So check that out. I think we're going to stick with that format moving forward. The next one will premiere next Saturday. next Friday. Next Friday
next episode
after our show with Steven. So hang around, check that out. We'll probably pop in the chat after the show's over on that for a little bit if y'all are still around. So hang out for that. It should be good. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is a slight break from the format we've had the past couple of shows where we've just kind of come with like facts about people and like that. One of the things that I think you and I both noticed, especially back in 2020, was the lockstep, especially during like Corona, where people like all these countries were like doing stuff at the same time, were locking down at the same time. But also the way the mainstream narrative would change, and it would change everywhere all at once. Isn't that a movie? Everything Everywhere All at Once, is that a movie? But it would change like automatically everywhere all at once, and it was super uncomfortable, super creepy. I thought how quickly and how much in unison everybody would move all at the same time, and that seems to still be the case today. Like we just had this Minnesota, Wisconsin, whatever story they're shooting up lesbians in, whatever one that is. That's Minnesota, right?
Right.
With Funnel Cake Dad. It seems like the same thing is going on still with a lot of that stuff, where like everybody seems to be. It's almost like a little mind virus out there, where people catch wind of the story, like, oh, an ICE agent shot up a lesbian poet. Right, which is just a comical headline. Sad, obviously, this lady died, but like hilarious headline, in my opinion. And like everybody's opinions and thoughts seem to be like changing in unison at the same time. You have like two sides of the same coin, like moving in tandem with each other. Where like you have the blue-haired they thems saying all the stuff about. Oh my gosh, why did ICE is terrible? You have all the Trumpies, the Normies, the hardcore right people saying, oh, it serves her right. She got what she deserved. You don't mess around with the law. And it's all happening at the same time. Everybody seems to have like the same change of opinion at the same time. It's super weird. And I think one of the things John has said a number of times is like that's one of the symptoms of the story, the narrative that appears to have been set by who the hell knows what, that kind of lets you know this probably isn't something you want to pay attention to, right?
Right.
So you want to speak to that a little bit?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of exactly what you said, is that like it seems to be happening a lot more and more recently. What?
Keep talking.
Okay. Thank you.
Keep talking.
Sorry, you're distracting me. But it seems to be happening a lot more recently, and like I've noticed it a lot, like post 2024, in like how shifts has happened, because it's like the Epstein thing was a big one, right? Is that this is really distracting me watching that move.
You gotta focus on
it. Yeah, I know. It's fine. It's fine. This is gonna trigger my autism.
Are you incapable of focusing on one thing
at
a time?
And I want to make sure that is that's set properly. So.
I'm a big boy. I can handle it. People can't even see me talking right now because you haven't changed it. But go ahead. You say stuff. Yeah.
What was I saying? Gosh, this has been a show of a start. Yeah, with the Epstein thing is like you saw that like immediately with the Epstein thing is that like the whole right-wing narrative was supporting like getting that out into the open, and it immediately shift on a dime. And it's like I've noticed that like there's been a seemingly concerted effort to start controlling the so-called independent media space to get that phenomenon to happen.
Explain that a little bit more. So you're saying like back when all the Epstein stuff hit the fan, there was like an obvious effort to control you said the right-wing media space?
Well, just the independent media space in general, and I think the Epstein stuff kind of brought light to that was actually going on.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. Maybe that's probably, it might have been going on earlier. It's probably when I keyed in on it. But you saw a lot of these so-called independent creators act exactly like legacy media.
Yeah. No, I think you're onto something there. I think you have a very good point, because after all the Epstein stuff dropped and hit, the mainstream consciousness, you had all of these supposed independent like content creators. Gosh, I hate that word, but like these independent media people. Hey, I'm out on my own, talking about my own who all acted the same way at the exact same time, which makes it seem like even let's imagine it is organic. Even if it is organic, it makes it seem pretty damn manufactured the way they're behaving.
Right.
And then like after all the Epstein stuff went down, are you gonna be okay?
Sorry, this somehow my mic stand is also come unscrewed and it keeps falling. Continue.
Okay.
I'm just
so then after all the Epstein stuff went down and all these creators started kind of doing the same thing, we also had like that weird thing where they said, okay guys, we're gonna give everybody the Epstein files. And then you had these very obvious like false flag events where a bunch of fags would go to Washington and like carry around a notebook probably full of pictures of dicks and 12-year-old girls. Like I can't imagine what was in those notebooks because nobody's ever seen them. Right. But you had people like, what was it, like DC Drano up in Washington waving around this notebook like a complete homosexual saying, oh, I got the Epstein files. I'm going to, and talking about like disclosure when, at least in my opinion, it seems like this whole thing, and I mean, obviously, assuming the events are the way they say they are, like I'm starting to even wonder, like, did everything with Epstein go down the way they said it did, right?
Right.
There's all the, like, is he still alive talk, but even past that, like, obviously he was like child trafficking and stuff, but who the hell knows what else was going on? Like, who the hell knows what else was going on out there? It seems like they pushed even the alternative media, the truth narrative, if you will, all the conspiracy folks a particular direction by just saying, hey, pull your attention at this, focus on this, and we're just going to leak out stuff that's going to be a little harder to find and kind of leave a trail of breadcrumbs for you to follow to lead you to the point we want you to get to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. It started to make me kind of re-examine a lot of shit that's happened in the past and a lot of how like quote unquote conspiracy narratives has been shaped, because it's like I'm starting to realize, hey, a lot of the people feeding me this probably are under the same type of MockingBird style control as old guard media was.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're seeing that, like, and we'll get into it probably a little bit later of like how it's becoming a lot more obvious and like the
get into it now. What are you talking about?
I'm now trying to find the word. Overton window. That's the word I'm looking for. How the Overton window is starting to like expand for what's kind of allowed, and they're doing it through these people. But yeah, it's made me to really like start to kind of examine a lot of like the narratives that like we're given from the truther perspective, Yeah,
I mean, let's hang out there for a minute because you're right. The Overton window for what you're able to discuss and the kinds of concepts that you're kind of allowed to talk about in even mainstream like discussions or talks with normies have expanded. Like 6 years ago, 2019, or I guess, well, it would be 2020 now. 7 years ago, 2019, if you said flat Earth in front of a bunch of like normies, they would have probably crucified you. Okay.
Right.
And said you're a fucking science denier. But now, 2026, it seems to have taken a lot of the community by storm. Maybe that's a bad example.
I think that probably is a bad example. I've kind of always attributed that to more of a symptom of what I'm describing.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the greater point I'm trying to get at is past that, the idea of like Epstein didn't kill himself, 9/11 being an inside job. Like those aren't even weird to talk about in front of normal people anymore. You're going to have conversations about those with your mainstream grandma who watches Fox News. You can be like, hey, Mimi, how about them high jabs shooting down that plane or crashing that plane, whatever the fuck they did. How about the who took down the plane? Like that was the CIA, wasn't it? And Mimi's like, I think it was. Yeah.
Right.
And so, like, that's becoming normal now. Is that a good thing?
That's a great question, and I don't know. I've become, and maybe this is me being probably a little bit too autistic and a little skeptical, but I've become very increasingly skeptical of like conspiracy narratives in general, because I feel like they're starting to try and make me notice things. Maybe this is just me getting way too far down a rabbit hole. But like you see that with like the whole Israel thing, you see that with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Is like you're trying to make me notice this now. And it's like you're trying to make it increasingly obvious so that I notice this now. And if you look at patterns right throughout history, they've been doing that.
For instance,
9/11 is a great example of that. Think of the official story of 9/11.
Right.
It's absurd. It's completely absurd. And like the more and more I think about it, it's like, oh, that's on purpose. Yeah. It's meant to be absurd. It's meant to get certain people to notice it. Yeah. And to like get so bought up into that story, because it's like, if you think about it rationally, like obviously none of it makes sense. Yeah. And it's like, and I've always accepted, or it's like maybe just kind of thought in the back of my mind, oh, it's just, oh, they made mistakes. It's just they're stupid. But it's like you think about it, and it's just, it happens time and time and time again. Yeah. No one's that stupid, because JFK is the same way. It's like the official story is absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd that this guy shot 3 rounds out of a bolt action rifle in like less than 2 seconds, and and the way the bullets worked the way they did, I can't recall all of that off the top of my head.
Magic bullet theory, all that stuff.
It's absurd. And I'm starting to think it's on purpose.
That's interesting. Because that makes sense. A lot of these stories, 9/11 is an easy example. The Butler shooting, the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting of Trump, easy example. The guy who shot Charlie Kirk, another like easy example, where these stories are becoming more and more like obviously fabricated, obvious propaganda, and you have to wonder what the end game is, I guess is your point. Like you've got to wonder, why are you making it so apparent that you made this up?
Yeah. And it's getting worse, because like we talked about with Wheezy on the Lincoln assassination, I kind of made this point on that show. It's like, it seems like they started as like you had to think a little bit to actually unpack the narrative.
Like you had to sit down and be like was Lincoln a was he?
He sat down for like hours and hours and hours, years of his life, and has really unpacked that narrative, and is like he's the only person kind of doing that. And it took that amount of time to kind of dig through and figure that out, to figure out, hey, this probably didn't go down the way they said it was. JFK gets a little bit more easier, right? The story gets a little bit more insane, but it gets a little bit more easy for people to notice. 9/11, it gets way more easy for people to notice. And now it seems like today it's just like you can just look at it and just be like fake immediately. You don't have to put any effort into it.
It's a good, the Holocaust. Yeah. That's another fun one.
Yeah.
6 million reasons why that might not be real, It does. Yeah, it seems. Is the fact that it's getting easier to notice these things being fake? Is that a function of them, like being more and more lazy with inventing these narratives? Do you think, or is it just the fact that like you've been paying attention to this shit? You know more now. You've looked into this stuff more now. You've been exposed to more of it. Like, could it be that it's not getting dumber? It's just you're getting slightly less and a little bit more autistic as the days go on?
I mean, probably, but everyone else is starting to notice this too. And that's kind of where I'm getting super skeptical, because it's like I've started to be able to have conversations with people about things that I know that I couldn't have a decade ago. Like we had one a couple of months ago with some people on our soccer team where we were talking about,
Nephilim
and flat earth and talking about a ton of different conspiracies. And like 10 years ago, that wouldn't happen.
That's true.
Right? Like you wouldn't be able to just feel out random people on the street, right? Have those kind of conversations, and they'd be super familiar.
Yeah.
Right. That was what kind of blew my mind, is like the people we were talking to, they'd heard all of this stuff and were kind of familiar with all of these different topics.
Right.
And you're seeing that like across like Twitter and social media as well, is that like, it's not just like the people who've been doing like in this space for 10, 20 years.
Right.
It's normies who are starting to pick up on this. It's the political world that is starting to pick up on this.
Yeah.
Right. And the narratives are starting to seep over into those different places. Right. Politics, especially. And you're seeing that now,
For sure. Yeah. Two things I thought of there. One is, I wonder how much of that, because you're talking about like maybe, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're saying like maybe people in the deep state or the globalists or the demons or whoever's running the shit is like making a concerted effort to make this stuff more obvious. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like maybe that's what they're doing?
Yeah. I think that like
Well, that's starting to seep into like normie culture.
right. Right. I think that like as these, different events are getting constructed and I think there is a concerted effort by whatever is orchestrating it to make it a little easier for people to catch on.
Yeah, I think that's made a lot even more obvious if that's the case by how big some of the people pushing these narratives are.
Right.
Like how big is Alex Jones now? Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and
Right.
Tucker, like he's a legacy media guy. Like he wasn't talking about this 10 years ago. Now
Right.
he is. He's like made this weird flip, right? Alex Jones is, if anything, a little bit less pushed over than he is now, and I think that's made him more appealing to the everyman. And Candace Owens is just a black lady. That means it's okay to say you like her in public, right?
Right.
And so it's made the idea of the truth narrative a lot more palatable to mainstream people like my boomer mom, right? And so I think that's one side of the coin. Another thing I thought of, and this could be like schizo tinfoil hat, but from a spiritual perspective, there's this idea of like the Grand Delusion, how like I think in the Bible it says like if even the elect could be deceived, they would be deceived by like the second coming of a fake antichrist, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder if part of this is to make people feel like they're getting shown the truth.
Yeah, I mean,
to make the whole practice of like bringing about some kind of apocalyptic, aliens landing, antichrist type event a lot easier to push on people because it's Hegelian dialectic type stuff. Like we've given you the MockingBird media that's very obviously lying to you, and guess what? Don't worry, we've solved your problem. Come over here to the new, the new MockingBird media that's going to pretend to give you truth, to feed you reality, and in actual reality, we're going to push through like the Grand Delusion, so to speak. Like that's kind of what that makes me wonder.
Yeah, dude. And it's interesting that what's interesting is like I think you're right. If you actually start looking at like the archetypes of some of these people that they've like put out, they all have very kind of interesting, almost hero's journey archetypes to get people to like latch onto them and kind of
like who?
Okay, I mean we'll go down the list. It's like Tucker Carlson, right? Is like they played him up to be like the guy standing kind of independent in legacy media. He was trying to tell the truth through that system so much that they fired him and tried to cancel him and ruin his life. And then he came back on his own in this massive independent show to give out a massive, message of truth to a wide audience. Right. Candace Owens, right? Same thing is like she goes rogue in the Daily Wire, right? Gets canceled, gets fired for it.
Fired by a tiny hat.
Yeah, comes out on the other side to bring a message of truth to a wide audience. Nick Fuentes, another big name, same thing, gets canceled, gets his entire life, kind of destroyed, loses all of his ways to make money.
Don't forget the big boy, Alex Jones.
Yeah, now he's getting resurgence. I was about to get that.
Yeah.
Alex Jones, it's the same freaking kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like they kind of let his go on a little longer, but it gets all the way up to his
they Sandy hooked him back into it.
I was about to say it gets up to where his, the hat drops with the whole I don't want to say it, so not get. I guess you already said it.
I already said it.
With the whole Sandy Hook incident, it's like the hat drops there, right, and then he's coming back as a resurgence on the other side of it. They're playing the narrative out, like the story narrative for each of these individual like figureheads. For the new truth movement, and if you look at the pattern, they're all kind of similar.
Yeah,
the way they've been set up, and it makes you kind of wonder. It's like, hey, how organic is this? Because it's like, Candace and Tucker specifically, right? They have a lot of ties into old guard legacy media. I think Candace Owens' husband does a bunch of weird contracting. I can't remember. I might be wrong on that. Tucker obviously, right, was in legacy media. Father was in the CIA and all that crap.
It's not weird.
Right. So it's just like they seem like they have like started to set up these people for us, And if you actually start looking, that was horrid.
That wasn't even intentional. I just came out.
It was. You didn't even open your mouth.
It came from like deep inside of me.
So loud.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I don't know if they wow,
Did the people hear that?
Yeah, that was impressive.
I don't know if the people could hear that.
That was impressive that you didn't open your mouth. That was all closed.
That was like what I imagined it would sound like if I could growl like a cat or a dog. That's what I imagine that would sound like.
Okay.
I hope people could hear that.
What was I saying? That threw me off.
You were talking about the hero's journey that a lot of these like new media archetypes.
Yeah, a lot of these independent, like quote unquote independent creators have gotten to their place through a lot of kind of a hero's journey archetype. And now that I'm kind of thinking about this just right now, it's like that's probably what the cancel culture push of the late 2010s might have been set up to do.
Maybe, yeah. It's like let's push them out so that we can pull them in, essentially.
Yeah.
It's very Hegelian dialectic type stuff. Like, that's exactly what it seems to be. Again, I don't know if that's true. Like, we're just spitballing here. We're just speaking out of our buttholes. It's not weird. But I think that makes a lot of rational sense. The way you, like, put that together. The idea that, we have a narrative we need to push, but we're starting to lose people. Like, and if we want to bring in, especially, it's one of the things I said, like, during the 2024 election, like, putting people like RFK in Trump's cabinet, right, is a great way to try to latch on to people who obviously aren't bought into the system anymore, right?
Yeah, on that thought. Hell yeah, Stacks. Shoot us a DM. We'll set it up.
Oh, dude, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that'd be a blast.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So, yeah, it makes you wonder, for sure, like, how much is any of it real? Like, is, the whole school attack is the whole Sandy Hook, the stuff that happened with Alex Jones, like, how much of that was manufactured, not just by the mainstream media and the deep state, but by, like, how much of that could he have potentially been in on, Like, the godfather of, like, mainstream conspiracy media. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. It makes you think. I don't know how much people are in on it. They're definitely being used. And, like, that's a big thing that, like, people need to see is, like, at the minimum, these people are being used.
And that's one argument that Murph and I used to get into all the time, because he would say, just out of hand, like, about people like Ty and Charlene Bollinger, the people who were head up, like, The Truth About Cancer, about Alex Jones, about a ton of people. He'd be like, they're controlled opposition. And I took issue with that terminology, because he was saying, like, whether or not they're conscious of the fact that they're being used, they are.
Yeah.
And I think I'm coming around on his perspective is, even if people aren't conscious of being used, like probably I would assume the Bollingers aren't, they still can be. And if you're not aware, if you're not paying attention, if you're not awake enough to see how you can be pulled one direction or another, then you're just going to become a pawn.
Right.
And you're going to become a pawn that can lead a bunch of other people down the wrong path. And I think that's probably what's happening to a lot of people out there.
Right.
And that's kind of scary, because, I mean, look what we're doing. We're out here talking to, well, I mean, not that, but who knows who, what are the odds that, I'm saying some shit that's going to make some, like, what do you,
Yeah. No, 100%. And it makes you, like, it started to make me really, really think about, like, what I'm engaging with, what I'm saying, and, like, to really start actually putting thought on some of this stuff, because it's like, when I started, like, the whole kind of conspiracy truther journey, is like, I would kind of latch on to anything that was contrarian to like the official, like, hand-given narrative.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to kind of think as, like, a lot of the hand-given narrative is just a lot wider than what I originally thought.
Absolutely.
And it's like, we talked about that even, like, last week on our terrain and germ theory debate, or discussion. It was not a debate.
It was not a debate at all.
But, like, you look at 2020, you look at, like, the proponents of, like, Corona truth, the biggest thing a lot of those guys would throw out was Cox postulates.
Yeah.
And then you look into that dude, and it's just like, oh, he's a scumbag. He's in on all of this.
He was literally owned by Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah. And you're like, what the hell is, like, the people that, like, are getting into the truth narrative are just as in on it.
I mean, I was one of those people back then.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Like, I can't remember how many people I brought those up to in arguments on, in arguments about Corona.
And the flip side of that is, I guess I'm 15. The flip side of that is that those are relatively rational. A lot of the stuff that these people put out there has at a minimum enough truth in it to make it make sense, and at worst, it is truth just coming from a tainted source, and that's what scares me the most.
Right.
Because I mean, there's this whole, father lies, we can go down that road, but the fact of the matter is, like, sketchy people can absolutely share truth in an effort to get buy-in from the masses so that when, like, crunch time comes, we can feed you the wrong narrative, the wrong information, the wrong perspective, the wrong damn video, whatever it happens to be, and now you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
Because you've bought into me because I've been giving you truth for the past who knows how long. I've been honest with you for the past 10 years, but guess what? Now, now I'm not, and you have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a impressive, it's kind of an impressive smokescreen operation that's being run when you think about it. And I've been, Candace Owens comes to my mind a lot in the whole kind of her whole flip on the J narrative.
Yeah.
And like, you see how many people have latched onto that. And then with the Charlie Kirk thing, right? See how many people have kind of latched onto her as like championing her as this like brave, like champion for the true story, right? All the while, she and a whole bunch of other influencers are pushing this kind of dangerous Christian nationalism narrative,
Right.
And all of that. And you just kind of see it's like it's an impressive smokescreen that they're running here.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even like I kind of got caught in on all of that when it first happened. It's just like, hey, this story's super interesting. It's like all of this shit to where it's like, she's like, getting into all of these like kind of battles with all of these people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's super interesting. It's like, that's pretty impressive. And then it's like, you kind of take a step back. It's like, yeah, it's probably not as real in the way that I'm trying to be led to believe,
Yeah, it's just so tough. It's so hard to know because the next, I think, obvious question is to wonder, like, is it possible to get that big without being bought, without being an agent of, whatever demonic entities are out there? Or is it not? And obviously I know like a lot of people who think like, oh, if they're that big, they're definitely bought and paid for. But how do you know? How do I know? And I think, I don't know. I don't even know of a good place to even start that conversation because my first thought is like the best place to start with that discussion is just like logic and intuition. But at the end of the day, there's no way to really know because like maybe, pick your favorite like big name personality who actually shares like true stuff every now and then. Maybe they are like honest and genuine and doing their best. How do you know? How do I know? I used to think the same thing, and this is going to get like weirdly, but I used to think the same thing anytime I would like show up at church. Because like there would be people getting on, who would hop on stage, which that's a whole nother discussion. I'm sure we'll get into that later, which I guess we can tease our new like biblical bi-monthly thing we're going to do soon. That's really all we know about it. So there's your teaser, folks.
We have an idea. It will be implemented at some point. What a great teaser.
I should stop.
We wrote a single line down on a piece of paper that we have no other thoughts about other than this one line.
In my head, that means it's going to happen, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you are getting an insight into the way you think. It's like, I had a broad idea of how to do something.
I'm going to do it.
It's going to happen.
We're going to do it.
It might take 10 months, but it's going to happen.
That is how that goes. I will say I'm going to do something, and I will do it. But it will not happen likely in a timely fashion. It could happen in 10 minutes. It could happen in literally 10 years.
Yeah.
Both of those have been the case for me at different times. But with like trying to figure out if some of these bigger names are telling the truth or honest or whatever, I have the same struggle with that, I think, as I had with like people like I went to a Christian high school. You and I both went to the same high school, Christian high school. People who would get up like and say like nice stuff in chapel or say stuff at church or be like figureheads in any kind of like social setting. I always, and maybe this is because I'm an asshole and I come from a family of assholes. Okay, like it is a family trait. We pass it down from generation to generation. I always assumed people were full of shit, doing it for just like the attention, the glory, for everybody to think nice things because you have to say, I love him. I always assumed, and this is like a personal problem I have,
Right.
that people were up there for not positive reasons, for not good reasons, for not pure reasons. Is it possible for let's take the truth about cancer people, Ty and Charlene Bollinger, right? They're obviously like doing pretty well. They've had a bunch of big name documentaries go out there. They know a bunch of famous people. Is it possible that their motives are actually good? Or to be that big, do you actually have to be genuinely psychologically and spiritually? And I'd be interested to know what the chat thinks about this too, actually. If you guys have any comments, please let us know.
It's an interesting question. I don't think it's necessarily that simple. I think there's an aspect, the biggest, like, you think of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, you name whoever you want. Like, the biggest thing that's at play is just the amount of freaking money that they get from doing their right. And they're all very charismatic people. They're very, very good at this thing, whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
And money is a big play of it. And I think a lot of it might not actually be realizing, like, what your constraints are to actually, like.
What do you mean? You lost me.
For some reason, as you were talking, I was thinking about Jesus in the parable of the rich young ruler.
Okay.
Right? Is he came to him with very honest, like an honest search for, like, hey, what do I need to do to be saved?
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to know. And like Jesus, obviously knowing his heart, pointed out the thing that he wasn't really even aware of that he was attached to.
Yeah.
Was his wealth, right? And I think maybe a lot of these people, it might be that, is that, hey, they might have honest intentions and pure intentions, but they're just not aware of what they're attached to, that's pulling them away from actually pursuing that. And right, I think of money as a big thing because all of these people just have massive businesses.
Yeah.
And like subconsciously, that there are areas that you can't go into with the business model that you have created. That's just how the world kind of works, right?
Yeah, like the fact that we don't say the N-word on this show yet.
Like there are topics that you can't go into,
yeah.
Given who you've taken on as an ad, as a sponsor,
right.
Whoever you've decided to, align yourself with. Like, they know that subconsciously. They may not do that intentionally, but somewhere in the back of their mind, they know, like, that they have limits, right?
Yeah.
And it could be that, like, they might have, like, honest intentions, but they just don't know. They don't recognize the things they've attached themselves to that's actually inhibiting them from, like, actually seeking out the truth and all of that. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're attached to the money, the wealth, the comfort, the fame too much to actually pursue truth, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Right.
I mean, sure. And I think, like, I and most people probably understand that. But even on a less deep level, like, I always had a hard time even thinking these people started out with good intentions to begin with. My assumption was, if you were getting up in front of, like, church is an easy example. If you were getting up in front of a church full of like 500 people and saying like this nice, sweet, like 7-minute long prayer, with, you were likely doing that to make people have good thoughts about you, right? There was no good intention about that in my head. Again, this is like me being an
right.
And, like, is it even possible for people at that level to even start out with good intentions,
Yeah.
Like, there are people in the like, who think, like, out there in the truth community, who seem to think, like, if you make it that big, you're bought, and I don't know what the case may be about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to an extent that, probably. But even what you were talking about with church there is, like, a lot of that, dude, might just be not realizing what you're attached to.
Yeah.
Like, I think there is a massive component for a lot of these people is they just don't realize, because you don't even have to be that big to have that problem. You can have that problem at any level, right? It's why you have to have a lot of introspection to kind of figure that out. But I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot because it's like their ability to, like, harness people's attention seems to be like too organic enough for it just be as simple that like they're like a part of it and like bought and paid for, you know, if that makes sense.
Because say that again.
Like, I don't know. Legacy media, that was a little bit of a long-winded point, but like legacy media, it was very obvious that they were bought and paid for, especially like
between... so you're like saying legacy media, because it was so obvious they were bought, couldn't pull people in, like could not retain anybody's attention because it was very obvious.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's like a lot of these new kind of, really the new, you know, MockingBird media.
Yeah.
Right. They're not that way. Right. They're not that way. They have the ability to kind of keep people's attention, and there has to be some level of authenticity there for that to occur, in my opinion. There just has to be.
Yeah.
Because it's like people, we do have a nature to kind of seek out the truth and latch on to authenticity. Right. So there has to be some level of it for these people, for them to actually be as successful as they have. So the way that they're being played and the way that their narratives are being like subverted can't be as simple as just like, oh, they're in on the club, you know?
Yeah. And maybe we're seeing a little bit of, maybe we're finally seeing a little bit of lag time in the people who are running like the negative side of all this shit, right? Because back in like the 50s, the 60s, up until like the 90s, right? All the people whose like opinions mattered and who had energy and money to do shit, they were bought in to the idea of like Christian nationalism. They were bought into the idea of like, hell yeah, America, we're going to go over there. We're going to get us some Muslims. All right. We're going to shoot them sons of bitches up. We're going to get a bunch of mullets. We're going to go up to New York. We're going to take down the fat. Like, people were bought into that idea.
Right.
But now, like, especially like I think it probably started with the Millennials, and I don't know what generations are after that because I stopped caring. But after the Millennials, you have people who don't give a shit about your authority. Your authority stopped mattering.
Right.
Now we're worried about, like, do you feel authentic? Does my intuition say you're full of shit?
Right.
Not can I go research the fact you told me, which is probably what my mom's worried about.
Right.
But do you seem like you're trying to win an Oscar when you're talking to me? Or does it seem real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you trying to talk? Yeah, exactly. And so we've seen like a shift in what people are looking for out of their, you know, figureheads. Are we seeing like a lag in what legacy media is providing in real time by people like Tucker and Candace and Joe Rogan becoming popular when they did? Obviously, Rogan became like wildly popular before a couple of that, but you see my point.
Yeah. Yeah, I see your point. And like, I don't know, maybe they are just good actors. That's a possibility. But you did highlight a very interesting cultural shift that I think is pretty correct. Is like the millennials and Gen Z is they do respond differently than kind of what the boomers, and I don't remember what's after the boomers, that generation did. And like they did that, like they have to change their approach and how they actually get these people bought in.
Yeah.
And I think we are living in that change of approach. Right.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what's going on right now, is that like they are changing the style and how they kind of capture the mass consciousness.
Yeah, the way they propagandize people is starting to shift.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the old stuff wasn't working.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper can't come on the nightly news and just tell you what's what and you believe him anymore. Tom Brokaw can't just say, hey, there's some stuff going down in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because people are going to turn their heads and be like, is there really?
Yeah.
And do I give a fuck?
Yeah. And that makes you kind of ask the question, is like, why is that happening now? Like, I think that's a big question.
I mean, I've already like so my best guess is it's a great way to get people's buy-in before like we push the Grand Delusion, but I don't know. Like, man, it could be me.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like if they wanted to, they could have ran the old system a lot longer.
Why do you think that? I feel like it was starting to play itself out, because at least for me, and maybe this is like maybe this is me not being as aware of what's going. Maybe it's just being self-centered and not having any clue what people think around me. But for me, it seemed like people were losing touch with legacy media and the old system a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's because legacy media just became like it became.
Maybe we could have
In
given it a
2016.
facelift and kept it going.
Yeah, like they could have, like it seems like they could have adapted to the age of the internet and just like
Yeah.
not been as just so overtly like in 20, like, you know, you'd think like 20,
Yeah.
like 14 through like 2020, they went full,
Yeah.
they
did.
went full retard. And it's like, it was obvious enough for me as a high school kid to recognize it.
We need to get that
Right.
as a soundbite in StreamYard. Can we do that? Never go full. We need to
Yeah,
get that.
I'll yeah.
This is your reminder.
But they did that, and it's like they didn't have to. So why did they do that? You know?
I think it's a lot easier to, because if people have a trail of breadcrumbs to follow as far as the idea of like, it started out being this, now it's this, but it was always right.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier for people to say, hey, to point out like how something is bad or not working anymore. Whereas if we shift gears, right? If we switch channels, well, it's a different thing now.
Right.
Tucker's not with Fox anymore.
Right.
So now you can pay attention to him. Candace isn't on the Daily Wire anymore and not owned by a tiny hat wearing America hating. So you can pay attention to her.
Right.
That makes it, that separation makes it a lot easier for people to rationalize buying in to the new thing.
Yeah.
Separate one from the other. And so you're given a choice, and it's like you're given a Sophie's choice essentially. Pick the old thing, right? That you know was. Pick the new thing that you're going to believe in, but that's going to be later.
Yeah. I'm ashamed. I've never seen that movie. So I'm sorry.
Me either.
You did. Yeah, I would believe that you saw it because you used that analogy really well.
It's a very common analogy,
Yeah.
John.
Well,
I can't believe you haven't heard it. The idea of Sophie's choice.
I
to
have,
explain,
but
okay.
I've never seen the movie, so I never. Paid
Oh,
much
so you're a
attention to
good
it.
person, so you haven't said it, but I'm a bad person because I had. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
I don't pay attention to movie analogies if I haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
I feel like you have to see the movie to understand movie.
Well, I guess I'm a bad person. All right.
And
You're going to
it's-
berate me yet again
Well,
tonight.
no,
This is
no,
the second
no, no,
time
no, no,
tonight
no.
that
No,
John
I'm sorry.
has put
I'm
me in my
sorry.
place.
No, I get that all the time. Like I've never seen the Lord of the Rings, so when people do Lord of the Rings analogies, I'm always lost, right? Because I've never seen it, so I don't use those analogies. I never engage with those analogies, so I apply that as a general rule.
How old are you and you've never seen The Lord of the Rings?
I get that reaction all the time. I just
Yeah.
haven't. I haven't. So I don't engage with movie analogies that I haven't seen because I get such hostile reactions to when someone brings up a Lord of the Rings. I say I've never seen it, and then they yell at me.
As they should.
I mean,
That's
sure,
yeah.
sure, but yeah,
That's like never having seen Toy Story. Like
seen Toy Story.
great.
Well, 1, 2, and
But it's
3.
like
They made
ne-
a fourth one. It sucked.
I haven't seen the fourth one.
I never seen it, but I heard it sucked.
But it's like never having seen like The Lion King.
Yeah.
Like same thing. People should yell at you for that. You should feel bad. You should be repentant, and you should go watch Lord of the Rings. That's the only. Yeah.
Okay, what was the point you actually made before
I
I got really sidetracked? I'm sorry.
Don't remember. I think I was talking about how like it's much easier to like people were bought into the old legacy media, right? And it's much easier to, as people were like waking up to the fact that it was kind of, it's much easier to switch gears instead of trying to give the old one a facelift, right? Sometimes when stuff starts to break down, it's easier to get a new car than fix the old one.
Right. Yeah,
And I feel like that's kind of what went on.
yeah, no, that's a good point, and I actually kind of I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I kind of agree with that now that you said it like that. I had a thought to that. I don't
Okay.
remember what it was.
Little autism?
A little autism, but I did have a thought to it, and it's fleeting. Let's shift gears and I guess talk about like what you had mentioned it earlier in the show is like that we were gonna, kind of talk about more of like what's the ultimate end goal of this kind of shift,
Yeah.
So let's shift gears and kind of talk about that as like to why they're doing that, why they're doing it now.
I mean, for me, I think after 9/11, it became very obvious to the masses that some shit was going on, right? And for the people who didn't wake up after the Big Bang, the Twin Towers, the the Middle Eastern muddle up,
That's a good alliteration.
that's what I'm here for. 2020 was another time where people who didn't completely have their heads lodged in their buttholes, even if they didn't wake up to the idea of like germ theory is nonsense, they certainly woke up to the fact that people are trying to push narratives on them. People are trying to propagandize them. The mainstream media is full of shit. Like, I think, and maybe this is just this is obviously just my opinion. The masses didn't buy into that the way a lot of people like to pretend they did. There were a lot of people who were like, "This is nonsense," and they would comply because it was. And this is the real problem, because it was convenient, because they were bought into their comfort, because they felt like it was socially unacceptable for them not to, right? I had a lot of friends at the time who would comply simply to not make waves. Like I had one friend in 2020, 2021 who, like, I was just living my normal life. He would put the diaper on his face whenever he went in, and I know he didn't give a right? But he did it just to make everybody else happy.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people woke up to the reality of what was going on during 9/11, during 2020. And I think they're trying to get more people bought back into some kind of system. I think as people were drifting away, especially from the idea of nationalism, be it Christian nationalism or just good old-fashioned America first Southern values, we need a way to get people bought back into that. And if you're starting to drift away from your dad who, jerks off to Fox News every night, you're probably going to prefer to jerk off to Alex Jones every night, like a good old American should.
Right.
Or Tucker or Candace or whoever you're listening to. It's a more palatable option for the people who lived through all of these events that kind of jarred people awake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point. And it's like, I think you're kind of seeing is that, like, hey, with this, like, golden age talk, that they're actually starting to, this is part of the shift into that, you know, shifting the way the media works,
and I think it's another way to consolidate a little bit of the structure as well, because for legacy media, you need a lot of stuff, right? A lot of people, a big production team, all of that. For Tucker, you need like 5 people. For Rogan, you need like 10 people. And so you can consolidate a lot of the legacy media power and money into a few people if you do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and now that I kind of think about it, it's just like, it's a rebuilding, because I've talked a lot on this show and we've talked a lot about how it's like, it seems like they're tearing different societal structures down.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of thinking about it now, they're probably done with the media.
Yeah.
If they're like with the original societal structure of the media, they're probably done. It's probably torn down.
Hell yeah.
And now they're rebuilding.
That makes
a lot
of sense.
I think that's a good way to frame it.
Yeah. And in the context of like what we've been talking about tonight, I lost it. They seem to be tearing down the old media and building up this new one under the guise of like, it's the internet, it's the Wild West, anything can happen, when really it's the same thing. Yeah. But we're pushing the idea of it's the internet. Go do your own thing. You go be Joe Rogan out there. You go be Candace Owens. It's the internet. Anybody can do it. These people just happened to hit it big.
Yeah.
Alex Jones just happened into InfoWars.
Yeah.
And with some of them, it's more obvious. Like Tucker obviously like came from legacy media.
Yeah.
A lot of the others, not so much. Fuentes, like he didn't come from legacy media. He's just an actor. Yeah. And sometimes hit it big, and that's great.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And it's like, oh, it's so obvious how that's been sold now.
Yeah. I think a lot. I mean, I think that's been going on probably for a long time, because you got to think Rogan was I think the first one of those. He was like the trailblazer for all of that, right? You had all the bros who bought in to all of his stuff, and a lot of it, to be fair, is good. The idea of like eating real meat, right? Not being a sack of shit who sits on the couch. A lot of it's good. There's a hell of a lot of truth in there, mixed in with a little AI's probably God stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
and so, like, he was the trailblazer. I don't know when he really hit it big, but I was still in high school when he became a big thing.
Yeah.
Because it was not long after Fear Factor that he exploded. Like, not super long. It was probably, like 2010-ish, where he, like, started to kind of hit, and then it was probably, like, 2014, 2015, where he really started to get big in those crowds, and then, like, 2016, 2017, where he, like, just was a gigantic podcast presence out in the world. Yeah. I don't actually know, but like he was the first one to whom that seemed to happen on such an outrageously grandiose level. And with him, with Tucker, with Candace, you see this idea of, honestly, in a lot of those people, I see a lot more truth than I did in legacy media, mixed with a little less, right?
Yeah.
So if we're mixing up a cocktail and it used to be like 50-50, right? 50 truth, 50 nonsense. We're mixing it like 80-20 now.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more palatable to millennials and to Gen Y and to all these people who are looking for authenticity. It can be a lot more authentic if a larger percent of what you're saying is not complete nonsense.
Yeah. And it makes you think like we've got to be closer to the end game now. Because it's like that cocktail, that 20% truth,
yeah,
that 20% lie is getting a lot more freaking important.
You know? Yes, it is, because we're starting to drive towards the idea of like why we're here, who put us here, what's our purpose for a lot of these people. We're moving away from like the mainstream media arguing about, is it okay to be a butt-loving and into the idea of, is AI our new god? Yeah. Are aliens going to come down and take control of this? Like we're moving away from Westboro Baptist into, am I worshiping aliens when I take DMT?
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. I haven't really even thought about that like in that way, but it's just like because it's like all of it started kind of that way, right? Even like mainstream media is like they had to give you a little bit, right? Yeah. They had to give you a little bit that was real, a little bit that was true, so that you would trust them, and that's how it worked.
Just a little nugget of truth.
How it worked through the 20th century, right? They started tearing that down in the 21st century and shifting to this new landscape. But if you do think about it, it's just like the shit that you actually like that these people are actually promoting when you tear back the veil is some crazy shit. Like Joe Rogan in particular, like he's talking about like, freaking like aliens coming to help us. And he's talking about like, maybe Jesus is going to come back as AI and all of that shit. And like, you're right, is like the lying narrative or the false narratives is starting to like point more towards like who you are, why are you here, right?
Yeah.
Then like, what are we doing in the Middle East?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's starting to shift away from, people on the news talking about, Susie's dog, right? To, that sort of thing. Why are we here? What are we put here for? And I know I mentioned this earlier. I'm sorry. I'll try not to harp on this, folks, but I keep coming back to this whole idea of deception, because it's much easier to deceive people if you're coming from a place of honesty, right? Any con man will tell you that. You got to mix in a little bit of truth. Yeah. And in Matthew, Jesus himself says, right? If those days had not been cut short, he's talking about the end days, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, Lord, Here's the Messiah. There he is. Don't believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. If even the elect, the way I've always heard it phrased is, if even the elect could be deceived, they would be.
Right.
And for me, from my perspective, this is where it's headed, right? This is the concept. Whatever we're put here for, whatever grand spiritual purpose that we're on this earth to serve for the Creator, right? People were starting to wake up to the fact that legacy media was lying to them, to the fact that, their comfort didn't matter as much, to the fact that there, is a Creator and a grander scheme to the way they lived their life. And so we needed to find a better way to alchemize these people's energy, to push them over into, the media control that we had people locked into previously, so that when the grand deception comes, we have a vehicle through which to control and manage their consciousness, to control and manage their spirit. And that was becoming an untenable situation with the mainstream media. Right? Mm-hmm. Either people, be it Fox, CNN, MSNBC, pick your favorite mainstream media. Everybody was starting to wake up and realize that they were absolutely putting lies out there constantly, nonstop. Post 2020, everybody knew, don't buy into the mainstream media, right? So whoever's running this realized, okay, we need to find a way to get these people to buy in so that when the grand deception comes, we actually have a leg to stand on, because we don't right now. The whole idea of our battle isn't with flesh and blood, but demons and principalities, all that nonsense. We see it manifested here. This concept of people moving away from mainstream media into, this new personalized, very charismatic, character-centric media, so that we can capture your spirit and your consciousness. Yet again, it makes the deception so much easier.
Yeah, dude, that was a great rant, and I don't think I disagree with the word you said in that. And it's just I think we are seeing them maybe set up for that,
Yeah.
That's wild. And I don't know. For me, it's just it's questioning is what is, how do you deal with it?
I mean, that is an immensely difficult question, because people have been deceived on vastly different levels. And so it's functionally different, especially if you look at the oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not striations, but if you look at the different generations, right? People who are 80 right now, okay, we're way more bought into legacy media than you or I ever were, right? I'm 32. You're what, 25 or something?
Yeah.
They were way more bought into the idea of nationalism, of America, of Tom Brokaw on the nightly news than anybody under the age of 45 ever has been. And so for them, I think the things they have to do are different than the things that people like you or I have to do, right? Mm-hmm. For those people, I think once they wake up to the idea of nationalism being just a lost cause, half the battle's been won, because that's what captured a lot of their attention. That was a socially prevalent thing back then, right? For us, it's a different thing. And I've been out of the mainstream world for so long, I have a different set of problems. So I'm not sure what the ones for the regular people are. And so I don't know what it is for the average. I think at a minimum, being aware of what truth actually is, not to harken back to the whole idea of why we named the show what it is, but what is truth actually? Are these people actually sharing truth with me, right? Or are they giving me just their own version of propaganda mixed in with a lot of real stuff? A lot of these people mix in with a lot of super, super real, honest, good stuff. RFK is a phenomenal example. Okay. He's a super sketchy dude, but he has a lot of good information about health and wellness, can't stand jabs, wants people off of all the processed nonsense. He does like 4,000 push-ups a day. His wife is hot. Like, he's doing great. All right. There's a lot of truth there, mixed in with a guy who's part of one of the oldest and most powerful families and probably, related to a demon.
Right.
So the things different people have to do are different, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a real slimy way to skis out of answering that question. But
well, no, I think you're right there. And I do think like the first step is probably kind of having this kind of conversation and pointing people to realize this, like, this is like the way that like you're being attempted to be deceived, the way these people are coming at you is so much more complex than like I think was initially painted for a lot of people coming into the conspiracy community.
yeah,
Definitely a lot of people who are like, in the normalized church system. Like, it's way more complex, and it's like it's way more dangerous. Right?
Yeah.
It's so much more dangerous than we're kind of being led to realize, and it's like kind of trying to sound the alarm on that. Like, that's kind of why I wanted to have this discussion tonight, is to try to like unpack like why is this like so much more dangerous than we actually realize.
I mean,
I
guess for me, I don't know that it's any more dangerous now than legacy media was 50 years ago. I guess I see it as kind of the same thing. And maybe that's naive. That might be a kind of naive perspective for me to have. Because to your point, I think the level of authenticity that people are after, right?
Right.
And this is something maybe we can get Jules back on to talk a little bit about this, or somebody of his ilk. But I think the seeking for authenticity and the devotion to that level of honesty and hope, the truth helps kind of alchemize, is that the word? The energy of the masses in a way that legacy media never did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that makes it more dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Like, to your point, that might be the case.
Yeah. And that's been my biggest problem, because it's like I'm seeing just I'm seeing so many people, and I'm seeing so many people like within the, who I would have considered 5 years ago within like this critical thinking truth community, people who are seeking out, who are falling into this trap,
Yeah.
And, it's gotten me thinking, it's got me somewhat worried, like, what's actually going to happen, because it's like I'm seeing so many people fall for this.
Yeah.
And it's getting rather dangerous, because it's like we're seeing in it, I'm thinking kind of real time, we're seeing kind of this new media guard take kind of what like the institutional science guard has, kind of take the same role for a lot of people, as it's becoming an accepted place of truth and authenticity for a lot of people, even when it's not, right? And I talk about it a lot, like in perspective of church people, right? Especially in the ep that's going to air, later on tonight, when we were talking about UFOs, why I was like so like harking on that issue, and why I think it's really important, because it's like the people giving the narratives out have been accepted as a people of authority and a people of honesty, right? And like church people have accepted, for in a lot of ways, the scientific community as that, they are giving out, they're coming from a position of authority and honesty.
Of objective truth.
Yeah, of objective truth.
Yeah.
Right. And it's created a bad dilemma of where it's like, now we have to take, the Bible, take scripture, the things that we hold as accepted truth, to bend around their accepted truth.
Yeah.
Right. And you're seeing that established there.
We've got to contort to fit their mold.
Yeah. And it's starting to get established in other realms of what's the word I'm looking for? Other realms of thought or whatever as well, with this kind of new independent media push.
Jeez.
And like that's just the danger that I'm seeing with like the massive deceptions that I think are coming, is the way that these people are being set up.
Yeah.
And you could see parallels to how like the scientific consensus especially in like the realm of like astronomy and biology and all of that has been set up.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very long-winded point, but I hope I got there.
No, I mean, I think if you reach a point where you can't question these people, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
And in a lot of circles, that's the case, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of circles, you don't question what Candace had to say. You don't question what Rogan had to say or Alex Jones or whoever. Like, you need to be able to literally question everything. If you can't, it's dogma, and dogma's dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, there is like honest, objective truth, but that will hold up to saying, what the hell is actually going on here?
Yeah.
I should be able to say that about everything we hold to be true, down to the most fundamental thing you think is actually real, down to whatever you think is the most like venerated, untouchable truth. Like, I should be able to ask that question, especially for like, obviously we're very tipped over into the Christian camp. I should be able to ask that question, spiritually speaking, about God, about Jesus, about anything that is considered to be untouchable. I should be able to look at it and say, okay, what's really going on here though? Because it will hold up to questioning. Right. If you're nervous about a concept, about a thing you hold to be true, actually standing up to people saying, what the hell is going on? And you've got a big problem.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, it's not the case yet, I don't think, with a lot of these people. But I think that's where it's headed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big thing. That's what I was kind of trying to get at. It's like they're setting up, I think, a very big, I think they're setting up a big conflict, right? And like an actual, like a conflict of worldviews for a lot of people, right? I think they're setting up a big conflict of worldview for the church. We talked about that in the UFO ep a little bit, right? Is they're kind of gonna make, people come to kind of defend or shy away from like what they hold to be true about the nature of creation, what they hold to be true about the nature of why we're here. I think that's a big push of like the UFO and the alien narrative. Go check that episode out tonight. We don't have to get into all that now unless you want to.
Well, while we're here, guys, like the stream. Drop a follow. Give us a follow. We keep forgetting to do this because we get into the middle of talking and we get distracted because we like talking about this stuff. Drop us a follow. Check out the Patreon. It is on sale right now. Don't worry about it, John. It is on sale right now. We'll get better about this in the future, bud. But give the stream a follow. Best way to support the show, if you like the show, is send us a donation. Follow us on Patreon.
And just
subscribe to the show, repost it. Yeah, every little bit helps. Share it with your friends, Maybe not your mom. She might not love it. Or share it with your mom. It could be a real power move. Assert dominance over the people in your family by sharing this show with them. Let them know who's boss.
Okay.
You look disgusted, John. What's wrong?
Not the marketing strategy I would have chosen, but you do you.
I'm doing us. That sounded a little gay. So you were saying something about Christians and legacy media and all of that.
Yeah,
do you recall?
I was just saying is like I feel like that they are setting up a massive conflict, especially for people in the church. Like that's what I've been really kind of like focusing on, trying to like figure out what that's going to be and what that's going to look like, because I do think that's going to happen, right? I think that's a big thing what the alien narrative is, and it's like I think this kind of new push in independent media is a part of that, especially because you see a lot of it's pushing a rise in Christian nationalism, and they're pushing kind of these, on the face of it, seemingly biblical narratives, right? And in my opinion, that has to come to a head for something, right?
Yeah, I mean, the big question is just what? Like, I feel like we're in some kind of weird waiting pattern right now, and it makes me very uncomfortable because, especially after 2020, right? Before 2020, I had never experienced anything that affected my life on such a, like, direct level that sucked so much. Yeah. Because 9/11, like, was whatever. It was the thing that went on in New York. I don't give a shit. like whatever.
And you were like 5.
Yeah, I was 8.
Oh.
Yeah. But it makes me nervous because the question is like, what's coming down the pipe? What kind of conflict are we gonna generate? You know, that we seemingly have been driving towards for who knows how long. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a fair question.
Yeah, and you saw in 2020, like, you saw kind of how you mentioned it earlier in the show. It's like you kind of saw how that went, and a lot of people who seemingly kind of knew somewhere within their mind or subconscious, they knew what was going on was dumb.
Yeah,
but they followed along anyway in the manner of convenience, right? And I feel like whatever's coming down the pipe in kind of this, what I'm thinking of, is going to be a lot like more consequential than what was going on in 2020. And you saw how many people fell into convenience. Hell, I was kind of one of them from time to time.
yeah,
Like, you see the danger there,
absolutely.
And like that's a big part of like why doing this and like why I'm trying to like rethink, a little bit of my worldview on a lot of this stuff, because I can see the danger.
Yeah.
And it's like it's very, very present. It seems like it's just getting closer and closer,
How do you even my question is constantly, how do you even start working to guard against that sort of thing right now? Because I have no no idea how to even begin to like steel myself against the dildo that is headed my way,
Yeah.
like I don't know how to pucker enough to be prepared for that. Like it genuinely scares me.
Yeah, no, I mean I get that. I'm kind of right there with you. And like my biggest thing is like starting is like, hey, deconstruct everything. Like deconstruct everything, because it's like I was kind of I've kind of been on the idea that I was like, hey, I was starting to figure this shit out. I was starting to figure out reality. I was starting to figure out all of this. Starting to realize I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was massively, massively wrong on a lot of things. And it's like, hey, deconstruct all of it and kind of start from the ground up and start from like start from the knowledge is that like, hey, there are forces out there, physical and spiritual, that are trying to pull you away. They're trying to pull you away from the creator, and they're trying to deceive you and put you down a wrong path that's going to lead to your death.
Sorry, that's such a weird place to laugh. That was very sad and serious.
Wait, but it's true. Like
Yeah.
it is 100% true. It's like the forces that are working against you are trying to pull you down a path that leads to your death.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And you've got like, that's the fundamental thing to like understand in terms of like protecting yourself against things. Is like there's something out there that's trying to pull you to your death. Start there.
Jeez, John, that was dark.
I mean, it's just reality, It's just reality, and like it's
Gosh.
it's a reality that I don't think is actually probably harped on enough.
I don't know. I think
because it's like
know.
we've talked about it. It's like we have a problem of creating people who get very complacent,
Yeah.
get very, very comfortable with their lot in life. It's like, hey, you are in war.
Yeah.
Like the Bible says it all the time. You are in war. You're in war right now. And like you've got to understand that. And I think that's probably a better way to summarize what I was saying. It's like recognize that you are in a war. Recognize that like, hey, your commitment to follow Jesus, your commitment to, have a walk with God. This was a big like revelation to me within the last kind of 6 months to a year. It's like, hey, that is a commitment to fighting in a war.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't really like that didn't hit home to me until very recently. It's like, no, you've committed to a fight. You've committed to a war against like evil pieces of shit that want to pull you to your death. Start there, start with that understanding. You'll figure some shit out hopefully along the way. Right. I think God will pull you, give you some discernment, but like you got to start there. Because otherwise you're just going to be complacent. You're just going to walk right into it,
Yeah, I mean, I keep coming back to 2020, but we saw a lot of that in 2020.
Yeah.
People holding on to their comfort so tightly that they wouldn't even entertain the idea of going out into public without their faces covered, because who might see me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Not just the thing that worries me more than that, because like obviously that shit's relatively over, except for the fags, right? And so most of that's behind us. But the thing that concerns me about that is the fact that kind of devotion to comfort and complacency is so fundamental to the way a lot of people operate socially. And if they're operating that way socially, they're probably operating that way on a like spiritual level.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And that's why I'm like starting to really try to reframe my worldview and reframe the way that I think about a lot of that I used to thought I know, is like, hey, it's not that. It's freaking war. War's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? It's uncomfortable.
Your butt might hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, and like that's not what we're not here to be comfortable. It's like, and I'm trying to make my peace with that. It's not easy. It's very difficult.
Comfort's I like blankets. I like air conditioning. I like having a house. Well, I don't own a house because I'm poor, but I like having an apartment. I live in a duplex, actually. I like those things. I like having stores. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But dude, like, and it's a big thing that like it's really been kind of challenging me. It's like you see throughout the Bible, you see through like, Jesus's ministry, you see through the ministry of his apostles and all of his, other disciples. It's like their ministry was not comfortable.
No, it was so awkward.
Not comfortable at all. I mean, and for pretty much all of his apostles except one, right?
I don't know what you're getting at. You haven't said that.
All of his apostles except one, it led to their death.
Yes, that is correct.
And like, there is something to that. Not that like you have to go and get martyred.
Go get martyred, folks. That's John's message.
No,
from this
it's not my
episode.
message. It's not my message. But there is something to that, like that radicalness. That like, hey, I'm willing to take like this identity that I brought onto myself, this identity with God. I'm willing to take that to my grave. And that's not like, I don't feel like that energy is really like given, is really taught,
Dude, that is
like, because
that's absolutely true.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that till like a freaking year ago.
Well, we've been taught, and I might be getting off on a tangent here, so tell me to off if I am. But
I like go on.
We've been taught
it's kind of
this
what
whole
these
idea of like the divine masculine is bad,
right?
And all of us have like elements of that in us. This whole idea of like bearing a burden and just dealing with it, right? And there's an element of that stands up for truth in the face of like social ridicule, in the face of like everybody telling you, oh no, that's bad, that's not correct, that's whatever it happens to be. And we've been taught that those traits are fundamentally like bad, are fundamentally antisocial, not just for men but for women too. Like if you espouse any ideas or concepts that are countercultural enough that more than one or two people in your social circle walk up to you and tell you you're a fucking idiot, then you must be wrong. That's what we're told.
Yeah.
Because the social implications of that could potentially be dire, right? Your friends, your family might think you're a cunt. They might.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that? Because if you're actually trying to live a life that pursues truth, if you're actually trying to live a life that pursues like honest discovery of who we are, why we're here, what the fuck is going on, what we're doing, then the people around you, the people you work with, your family are going to think in a lot of cases that you're a little Now, the flip side of that is there are going to be a lot of people who are like drawn to you like a magnet.
Yeah.
But society is going to make sure you don't feel that. They're going to make sure you feel the losses you experience as a result of being an honest, real human being. You're not going to notice the people who are drawn to you because you're honest, you're real, you're authentic. You're not going to notice that. You're going to notice the people you lose as a result of not being willing to give yourself over to the propaganda that's pouring out of literally every media outlet I can think of. Not just mainstream media, not just the Tuckers and Candaces of the world, but like even like a lot of like religious media. Like take your pick. It's pouring out of everywhere.
Yeah, dude. What you're describing is a freaking warfare tactic.
Yeah.
It's a psychological warfare tactic. It's you know, it's designed to beat you down. It's designed to, you know, again, a way to pull you to your death if you're not paying attention to it, you know?
Jeez, we've gotten depressing here tonight.
I mean, I'm not trying to be depressing. I'm just trying to like, hey, acknowledge this is going on. You don't have to be pulled to your death.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be. It's like, and it's the journey that we're all on, right? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
It's
to bring
just like,
yeah.
and you know, try not to be depressing, but it's just recognizing the state of the world, the state of like the trial that we're in, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not happy. Like, right? Like, you know, it's not a good thing. Like the state of the world's not a good thing. You're a part of it. You got to deal with it. You got to recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, right. And like, you know, I think a lot of people like have to kind of hear that. I know for me personally, I've had to hear that a lot the past year. It's like, hey, like the state of the human condition, the state of the condition that you're in is not good. I don't like hearing that, right? Because
what
that challenges.
I don't know that I agree with that actually. What do you mean?
Like on what specific point?
You said the state of the human condition, the state that you're in is not good. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just like the state of brokenness, the state of sin, right? The state of like the enemy's hold on, like I'm talking about like societal condition, right?
Okay.
Like I'm talking collective almost.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does
like
not. Keep going.
Okay. Well, the state of like the collective society, it's controlled by the enemy, right?
Okay.
I think the Bible describes that.
I'm with you there.
Right.
Okay.
And that's not good.
Okay, that is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm making. And we exist in that arena.
Yeah.
Right. Just by being here. Like we exist there. And that's not good. And you got to recognize that.
It's the whole
And
be in the world but not of the world argument.
Yeah. I haven't really formulated my thoughts of like.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. You're probably right. I just haven't like formulated like the best way to express. It's probably obvious by the people listening. I haven't formulated the best way to express this.
Let me help you.
Still trying to figure that out.
What you're describing is you're saying it generically, socially, like en masse, right? The situation is bad. En masse, you're talking about the world. Their situation is bad.
It's just the condition.
The whole idea from a biblical perspective, be in the world, not of the world. The world is bad. You don't be bad. Be good.
Yeah, it's more so. It's just like the first step to all that is recognizing the state of the human condition that we don't do that, right? I don't feel like the church does that. I don't feel like really just in general, like society doesn't do that. It's like we try to avoid that and we try to just go into our little complacent roles, go into our comfort and try to ignore it.
It's so much less stressful.
It's so much less stressful, but I think it's one, it's dishonest, and two, it's to our detriment. Is like recognize who runs this place.
Yeah, no, I mean you're absolutely right.
Like you got to recognize who runs this place, who has set up a lot of the different systems that everybody,
right?
Like everyone about their 9 to 5, everyone about the healthcare system, everyone about all of it. Recognize what that is a product of.
Yeah.
Recognize that it's not like it's not comforting. It makes you stay awake at night, and it makes you want to yourself because it's like you stand there and it it's very overwhelming, but you've got to recognize it to get to the first step of actually dealing with it.
Yeah.
And actually being able to break away from it and not let it control you anymore. And like, that's kind of where I'm starting to get to, is just like, hey, I know what all of this is. Starting to understand that.
Yeah.
It's just like, now what do you do about it? How do you break away from it? Right.
Hell yeah.
And that's the point that I was trying to make. And it's like, I don't think that's depressing.
Oh, shut the fuck up. It is depressing.
No. I don't. I really don't think that's depressing. I think it's depressing on its face, but it's like, once you actually understand that, and more so once you get to the point that you actually know what to do about it, and like, that's the journey I'm on, that's the journey you're on, probably the journey everyone in this chat's on, it's empowering, right? And like, just because it's like, it's uncomfortable to see it initially, it's okay. And you just got to be able to deal with that. And like, I don't want people to like shy away from like being brutally honest about that just because it's uncomfortable or depressing, in air quotes, you know?
Well, to your point, that's the thing that like kind of makes you in a lot of cases a social outcast, is the level of brutal honesty that you have to have, not just with yourself, but with other people. Like, I know for me, like on a personal level, a lot of my like alleged friends, I don't like that shit. They don't like it at all. And like me talking about like where my life is at, how it's going, what I think of them and their lives, what I think is actually, like, they don't like it. Like, forget our differences and what we think is going on with the world. Just honestly talking about like what's going on with yourself. People don't like that because it's weird. Like, you're weird. It labels you as a weird son of a bitch if you talk about that stuff. And I guess we need to wind this down sometime soon. But on the flip side of that coin, how much of that do you need to curb in an effort to actually try to connect with some people who maybe aren't, on comfortable with that level of honesty yet, but they're on a path to get there, without making them so wildly uncomfortable they never want to see you again because you're that weird son of a bitch who started talking about, how whatever happened or didn't happen, however long ago.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And like, I think I definitely struggle with that. You're kind of hitting on a little bit of a note of empathy, and like actually understanding people where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, you have to meet people there. And for me, a lot of like the people I went to high school and college with, who I still see from time to time, they're not at that point yet.
Yeah.
And I have done a bad job, and I don't know how many people like out there could potentially probably relate to this, like in our little sphere here, of like, I've written most of them off because it's too exhausting to deal with. It's too much of a pain in my ass. And especially when they get together in groups, it's so f***ing uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what to say to you sons of, I don't care what's going on with local politics.
Yeah.
I don't care who bought the store next to so-and-so. I don't care about the fact that you think they're a decent human being because they own 8 Quick Marts. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care about your 401k or, crap
right,
like
exactly.
I get that. And like, I've really struggled with that too. I'm starting to get a little bit more like optimistic, and I'm trying to force myself to like engage with the quote unquote normies more. Again, like some of the conversations we had like with people we played soccer with before, is like, I'm starting to,
you never know.
You never know. And I'm starting to realize it's like, hey, you can't write these people off as much, because it's like, you might be able to trigger something that will be like an interesting conversation. And like Robert's been having a lot of those experiences lately too, that he's been telling me and you about, and it's just like, I'm starting to kind of rethink that a little bit.
Well, like, that's one area where I've been like kind of
right.
I assume,
with
and
you there,
we
dude.
kind of started this out talking about this, but like, I assume most people's motives are bad. I assume most people are acting out of just like self-interest, and that's the only thing that drives them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like me putting my own on other people.
Right.
Maybe that's because that's an issue with me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know, like, I'm not a complete piece of shit. I know often I like do things that are not just in my own interest. I know I have a lot of conversation, like, so, but um, but I can't keep assuming that just because it looks like a normie, it looks like somebody who's not going to be interested in like a real conversation and real connection, that is actually the case. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it's a good thing to kind of note, like, hey, with this change, I know the show's been kind of unstructured tonight, but a good point to make is like with this change in like the guard of media, with them like tearing down like the original like control structures for narratives and the control structures for people's opinions.
The old guard.
There's an opportunity. There's an opportunity there, right? Because they have to do that, they've had to kind of peel away with these kind of a little bit of some of these like kind of social impositions of where people don't want to talk about certain subjects.
Yeah.
Right. They've had to widen that card of allowable opinion.
The Overton window's getting
bigger.
bigger.
The Overton window has getting bigger, and that is an opportunity for people who are kind of paying attention to what the is going on in the world to get in there and actually talk to people who are probably at the point now is probably the most receptive than like in my
ever be,
or in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity there, and it's like, you know, there is a positive aspect of that. It's not all just doom and gloom.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for people like us and people kind of within our sphere to take advantage of this and like actually wake people up.
Much like you can a drunk person at a bar. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Because it's like I'm noticing that, especially in my generation, in the millennials as well. It's like, hey, they don't have as much built up in this system. Right? They don't have a lot of wealth built up in this system. They don't obviously have a lot of like trust or like, you know, blind faith built up in this system.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity there. They don't have what I mentioned to earlier, a lot of those things in their subconscious that are holding them back that they don't necessarily realize. A lot of them aren't there, especially a lot of the material, right?
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of them.
We're at a stage between like where you used to have like enough wealth and enough like stuff enough bought into the system that you kind of held on to it.
Yeah.
And so we're at a stage between that and you being just so utterly, you're a complete nihilist.
Yeah.
We're kind of at a point between those, and kind of like you were saying, it kind of represents a window of opportunity for people who aren't utter. So that's a good point.
Yeah. It's like, you know, because you can go to a boomer and like you can tell him, it's like, hey, the earth is flat, and like he's gonna turn off because it's like that destroys his entire worldview. It, you know, it destroys a lot of people who have built up a lot of money in this kind of system.
Right.
Right. It destroys that. You know,
you can do that to a 28-year-old.
You can do that to a 20. Yeah, they don't have that. They don't have all that stuff built up.
We literally had that play out.
Yeah.
A couple of like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, at a local restaurant where
I forgot.
I looked at our waiter and I was like, "Dude, germ theory's bull." He was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, germ theory's nonsense. Look into terrain theory." He went back and looked up like the whole idea of terrain theory on his phone. Came back to our table and was like, "Bro, that just blew my mind."
Yeah,
like, yeah, it did. You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your night. Don't wash your hands.
Yeah,
and
it's just people haven't built up as much in this system, like younger, and like there's an opportunity there, and like I think that's a kind of a way to be a little bit optimistic. Is like there is an opportunity to connect with people and pull them kind of towards the truth,
right?
In a way that hasn't really existed before. That's kind of the flip side of the conversation we've been having tonight, you know?
Yeah, it's very novel, but I think it is positive. And I think this is probably a good place to start winding the show down because I'm a negative son of a bitch. I will find a way to make this sad later. There does seem to be an avenue of opportunity, especially as it relates to authenticity out there for, you know, people in the truth community to simply live your life like an authentic person, and you're going to attract, like, people are going to be attracted to that authenticity and they're going to respect it.
Yeah.
At the very least, they're going to respect it. They might not agree with it. They might not be completely tipped over, but they're going to respect it. And I think the opportunity is out there for that at a minimum.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a little far afield from narrative setting, but
Well, that's kind of what.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what these episodes are designed to.
Yeah.
We kind of had the thought, it's like, hey, we've had these kind of conversations like off air.
Yeah.
Let's just sit down and have it on air, not really structure anything and just talk, you know?
Which, if you guys like this type of format, let us
Yeah.
know, because we'll do more of these. Because
Yeah, they're fun.
We do these every now and then, not probably as often as we should,
Yeah.
but we do them every now and then.
I'm sure they could get a little long. I know they got a little long-winded for me a couple of times because I can rant, but
It's okay.
no, it's good.
But
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Well,
Just
folks.
sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to be a little. That's okay. We like being.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for listening tonight. It's been a blast. Be sure to hang out and check out the UFO ep that's going to premiere just after this stream is over. I'm not sure what time it is currently. John, what time is it? I can't even tell.
It's 8:54, so it'll be going live in like 30 minutes.
Going live in about 30 minutes. That show will premiere.
I hope you did with that a lot in Rumble and YouTube, so it should. I'm checking that right now.
We'll find out.
Does.
But check that out. That's going live tonight. I just dropped a new short, by the way. Give that a like and a follow. Yeah, give that a like. It's good. I liked it. Also, be sure to check out all of the socials. Give us a follow wherever you can. We could use your follow. If you like the show, if you want to support the show, go to Patreon. Follow our Patreon page. We do have our early bird special going on right now. So go check that out. It's $2 right now. That will be changing March 1st. So if you get locked in at $2, you'll be at $2 for at least the next year. We're going to keep our folks who sign up early at that $2 mark as long as we possibly can, because we love you guys. We value you. We like you.
You should be seeing some shit show up there on the next couple of weeks as we get the page fleshed out.
There will be other stuff going there very, very, very soon. We're going to be doing at least a bonus ep a month, and we have some other segments that are going to start to come out from time to time. We have some more information-driven stuff coming out soon. We have some what else do we have coming there, John?
A bunch of shit.
Okay.
You'll be doing some bonus streams there.
Yeah, I'll be doing some. That's what I'm trying to think of. We'll be doing some bonus streams there. I'll be doing those probably around once or twice a week at a minimum. You'll get unedited eps. You'll also get access to our Discord. Is there anything else?
You keep saying a Clash of Clans thing.
Yes.
You're gonna have to actually.
For you folks who are interested in Clash of Clans, we'll make a Clash of Clans. If there's more, wherever two or more of us are clashing, there will be a Clash of Clans. So if you guys are interested
that was horrible.
The idea of a clan on Clash of Clans, we will make one, because I like that idea, and I haven't shut up about it.
It's a good idea. Nef Hunter, shout out for being our first subscriber. I have gotten stamps and I've gotten envelopes.
And we have stickers.
And we have stickers. I will send stickers out. I missed the mail today. So they will go out on Tuesday because I think Monday is a holiday.
We're working. We're also working on more stickers slowly but surely.
I have all of the equipment to mail something. So we'll get.
You just got to put it all in one place.
Got to put it all together. But you should. Those should go in the mail on Tuesday. I went and bought all of that today. It was just my mail. I thought ran at 3. It ran at like 10. So.
The U.S. mail. What are you gonna do?
It's like I literally opened my mailbox and I had shit in there.
That sucks. But yeah, we'll get those out to you as soon as we can, man. Be sure to check us out on all the socials and on all the audio platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places. So check us out there and drop us a follow wherever you're listening. Drop us a follow. We appreciate it. Be sure to check us out this coming Friday at 7 p.m. We'll be going live with Steven from the Biblical Hitman. I think I can speak for John here as well in saying we are outrageously excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, that's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. I'm super excited. We're reaching out to guests as well to try to have some more folks on the show. So keep us on your radar. We also will be live Tuesday, every Tuesday, for Touched Me Tuesdays, where we talk about the things that touched me, and hopefully we can touch you too. So be sure to check us out then as well. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And
one
more thing.
Well, I think Stacks might have dropped out, but if you're still here, just be sure to just shoot us a DM and we'll get something set up.
Yeah, we'll holler at him
Yeah.
even off air. So,
Yep.
all right, folks. We'll catch y'all later. Thanks for listening. Bye.